Weddings that had more drama and less dancing. Listen, don't invite me to that wedding, all right? Because I am only there to dance. And the food. But more so dancing. First story, maid of honor to sister. I set a bachelorette budget and was told to, quote, just start saving. I'm already annoyed. I'm very annoyed if you're new here. I'm very annoyed with wedding culture these days. I think we've just lost the point of what a wedding day was supposed to be about. Don't get me started. Positive energy. All right, so they start off with, this was my initial text. Hey, I want you to have an amazing bachelorette, but I need to be upfront about my budget so that we're all on the same page. With flights and everything else we'll be doing, I can realistically spend $400 to $450 max per person on an Airbnb. I'm totally open to a pool or hot tub if it fits within that range. Like the place you saved with the pool would actually be perfect at about $393 per person. I just can't swing $600 plus per person on housing when we'll be out most of the time and already spending a lot on activities. I don't want this to become stressful or uncomfortable for me or anyone else financially, so I want it to be clear before anything is booked. Reasonable? No. Let's see what her response was. Her as in the bride. I'll try to be respectful of your budget, but also think it may be more than $450 because of all the minor fees. We are going during holidays, so that alone is more money than most weekends. I think moving forward, just understand that where we are going is an expensive place already. California is not cheap. Realistically, drinks and food will be more than what you expect. Truly, it's awkward to even say this, but I'm not really supposed to be paying for anything during that weekend. I know money is tight for some people. Just start budgeting and saving. I also have a wedding and living expenses to pay for, so I get it, but it's also a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I'm so annoyed. Like, can't we just all sit in our pajamas and eat like a pizza and call it our bachelorette? Or no, I don't, whatever. Continuing on. I'm the maid of honor. The bride is my older sister. There will be 6 of us going to California over Memorial Day weekend, 4 days, 3 nights. We never discussed budgets up front, and to my knowledge, she hasn't discussed budgets with the other bridesmaids either. I know this is partly on me. I also don't have their numbers, and this is my first time being in a bridal party, so I genuinely don't know what was typical. I was under the impression that she would pay for her flight and her portion of the Airbnb, and the rest of us would cover our own portions plus food, drink, activities for her. This assumption was partly because she has been very particular about the Airbnb vibe. Based on her math, she's not including herself in the split, which I now realized I shouldn't have assumed. She planned most of the bachelorette herself. I tried helping with planning locations, restaurants, activities, but most of my suggestions were changed because they weren't the right vibe or she found something better. She also has a matron of honor who has been helping look at Airbnbs. She has been a bridesmaid for at least 2 of the girls who are now in her bridal party, so I don't know if she paid for a lot of their bachelorette parties and now just expects the same in return. Regardless, this is far more than I expected. I'm not financially well off, and she knows this. I live carefully within my means and I have been budgeting, but there's only so much I can save. The financial stress has been making me anxious, and her response felt dismissive given that she planned most of the trip and set the costs. At this point, I feel stuck because she is my sister. If I say I can't afford the trip, I'm worried she'll be angry or even remove me from the bridal party. She also left me on red for 2 days after I sent that original message. If I go, I'll be spending money I truly don't have, and I'm already feeling resentment build. I know I should have spoken up sooner, but I didn't. And that is why I hate wedding culture right now. I don't know what it's become. I don't understand how people are just expecting this from friends. Like, it's just so bizarre to me what's gone on. Luckily, I have great friends who are very considerate, who are very kind and considerate and reasonable and understanding. Thank God. So all the weddings I have stood in have been, I would say reasonable and respectful. But I do want to know what you guys think of that story, and in particular, just wedding culture. That is what a lot of people now do trips for their bachelorette, and it is implied most times that you cover the bride or groom's portion of said trip. Next story. We had an amazing wedding, but some people are unbelievable. My husband and I had a wonderful wedding earlier this month. That is the most important part. But some people are unbelievable. The first pain in the ass guest was a friend of my husband's who contacted him days before the wedding to ask if he and his wife could bring their kids. He said they couldn't attend otherwise. We had already given numbers to the caterer, but whatever. My husband told them yes. I contacted the caterer to get it sorted out. And then on the wedding day, they ghosted us. None of them showed up. F them. Oh, that's crazy. The second one was a lot more crazy, and this is just a bit of a long story. A family member of my husband was invited with a +1 and her daughter. She contacted my husband and said she was inviting a female friend as her +1, and this friend also had a daughter who couldn't be left alone, and she didn't have a babysitter. So could we have this woman's daughter come too? Whatever, sure. Then her 6-year-old daughter told my husband that she really wanted to be a flower girl. We hadn't planned on having a flower girl, but she seemed so excited. So I bought her a dress and we got her a basket with flower petals to throw. Okay, well, you went above and beyond, bless you. Since I was getting ready with a few ladies, I didn't really have a wedding party, these were just friends, I invited my new flower girl and her mom to get ready with me too. I was getting ready at an Airbnb near the venue and my husband was getting ready with some of his friends at a different Airbnb nearby. My husband and I were coming back to the Airbnb I was getting ready at after the wedding. So the flower girl and her mom show up and the mom's friend and her daughter are tagging along too. Whatever. They live 3 hours away, so I figured it would be hard for her friend and friend's daughter to occupy themselves, so I just go with it. I should mention here that although Flower Girl and Flower Girl's mom live several hours away, Flower Girl's mom grew up in this area and her own mom still lives here. So they could have, found something to do. We all get ready. I pay for everyone to get their makeup done, including this random friend and her daughter because it felt awkward not to. You're a saint. The friend's daughter is dressed in a white flower girl's dress. Bizarre, but okay. Oh, so not the flower girl is dressed in a white flower girl's dress. As we are leaving, I realize I don't have a way to carry the key for the Airbnb, but the flower girl's mom says she will carry it. This matters later. At the wedding, the friend's daughter has appointed herself as second flower girl. She runs up at the last minute with my flower girl and walks with her and starts throwing petals. One of my friends comes up later and asks who the flower girls are. I told her one is my husband's family member's daughter, and we have no clue who the second one is. Anyway, at the end of the wedding, my husband and I are getting ready to go back to the Airbnb, and I mention that the flower girl's mom has the key to our place. He goes to retrieve it and comes back looking confused. She says she's coming back with us. What? She told my husband that the plan was that she, her friend, and their daughters were coming back to our Airbnb to spend our wedding night with us. Why do nice people gotta finish last? All you were doing was being nice. What is happening? It's so weird. Why? Why would you ever think I should go back to the Airbnb with them on their wedding night? I'm sure that's how they want to spend their wedding night. I paused for about 5 seconds before I said absolutely not. And my husband got his senses enough to realize that this was insane and went to tell her that she was not spending our wedding night with us. She cried, saying that we were throwing her and her daughter out on the street. He told her to go stay at her mom's and she said she couldn't because her mom wasn't expecting her. Neither were we. My husband offered to pay for a hotel room for them, but she said a single hotel room wasn't enough for all 4 of them. But apparently our Airbnb was enough for 6 of us. So my husband paid for 2 hotel rooms for them. Truly, I hope you have a wonderful, happy marriage and good karma for the rest of your life because you deserve it. She started calling my husband repeatedly starting at 7 a.m. the day after our wedding. We think because she wanted to stay at the hotel longer. We ignored her and haven't taken her calls since. We also found out afterwards that she stole a wedding card from the reception. We are pretty easygoing people, but this really tested our limits. We have ended any relationship with her. It was just too much. That's insane. Sane. Okay, you really weren't lying when you're like, some people are unbelievable. Here I was being like, oh, someone like took too much food, like someone got too drunk. No, this is bizarre. Cuckoo bonkers behavior. All right, there is an edit to this post here though. I think this is important, so I will add it. My husband is not from a Western country, and our wedding was not in a Western country. There are some cultural things at play here. Wedding invitations are not the norm there. I was warned that people would expect to show up with their neighbor, best friend, and pastor because that's how it's done there. I tried to mitigate that, but I knew going in that there would be some unexpected guests, or at least potential for that. Regardless, I don't regret how we acted, not at all. Acted? You guys were angels throughout the entire thing and went above and beyond. It's probably honestly one of the most bizarre things I've ever read. And that says a lot on this channel, let me tell you. Before we get to more stressful and insane wedding stories, I need a sip of water, and so do you. It's hydration station. I don't make the rules, except I do, and that's one of them. Cheers. Drink your water. Especially after the holidays. I'm sure a lot of us need. You guys, I need to know who watched Stranger Things and the finale on New Year's Eve. Okay, Matt and I are big fans of the show. We tried to get tickets at the theater for New Year's Eve, but in Toronto, it sold out so fast, so we watched it at home. And I need to know what you guys think. Thoughts, feelings, did you watch it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Tell me everything. Tell me everything. All right, the next story. Am I the a-hole for demanding my girlfriend to change her dress for a wedding? This story came March 7th, 2022. This happened during this weekend, me being in my early 30s and my girlfriend in her late 20s. I was invited to a wedding ceremony of a colleague and could bring someone with me. I asked my girlfriend that I've been dating for a year if she would like to join me, and she was really happy because she apparently loves weddings. Since we don't live together, I drove to pick her up so that we'd have some time to spare before the ceremony. As she comes out, she looks really beautiful and obviously put in time to fix her hair and makeup. She's also wearing an off-white dress that was rather ornate. As she got in, I told her that she looked stunning, but I asked if she could change to a different colored dress for the ceremony. I'm not one for etiquette by far, but one of the few things I've heard everywhere is that you should not wear a white dress to a wedding unless you're the bride. She became pretty upset and wanted to know what was wrong with her dress. I said that it would be inappropriate to wear an off-white dress unless you're the bride, and that it's like a wedding law or something, trying to just be lighthearted about it. She rolled her eyes and said that it was an outdated tradition about women and virginity, and that when her friends got married, everyone wore white, and that it's not a big thing anymore. Where is that not a big thing anymore? I was in like 7 weddings last year, and let me tell you, not one person was in white. Couldn't be me. I told her that I don't know what the dress code is for this ceremony, but since it's not saying all white clothes, I still thought she should change to another color, but white or almost white, because my colleague was getting married and we had no idea how she would feel about it. My girlfriend became really upset and told me that I was trying to control what she was wearing and that it was abusive. Oh, that feels dramatic. Which honestly made me really upset and hurt. I said something along the lines of, well, you shouldn't go to a wedding with an abuser then. And then I told her, okay. And then I told her to get the F out of my car. I feel like this conversation could have just been a very simple conversation, guys. This has really gone off the rails. She began to cry and wanted to apologize and give me a hug, but I just told her to get out, which she did. Edit, to clarify, we never left the driveway by her home. I did not drop her off in the middle of nowhere or anything like that. Okay. I drove off and she called and texted me a bunch. I answered and said, I don't want to talk right now. And then I turned off my phone and I went and attended the ceremony. The bride was the only one wearing white, so I feel as if my gut feeling was the right one. When I got home, my phone had been blown up by texts from her and her best friend saying that I was being inconsiderate and controlling and should apologize for my behavior. I've vented to a few friends, most of them agreeing with me, but some have said that it was an a-hole thing to tell her that she could not wear her dress because it had nothing to do with me. I feel as if I was in the right since it was my colleague's wedding and it was better to be safe than sorry. But I'm also not sure if I was being an a-hole about the situation. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? This is just so bizarre to me. I would never feel right ever about wearing white or off-white or anything like that to a wedding. It wouldn't feel right. And if I was bringing a guest to my friend's wedding or whoever that I got invited to and they were wearing white, that would make me uncomfortable because I'm bringing this person as my +1 and they're wearing white or off-white. I would not be comfortable with that. I wouldn't. Is this a thing? Some places that I'm unaware of? Are people just wearing white to weddings now and it's acceptable? We have an update, which came the next day. My girlfriend found out about the Reddit thread. Oh Lord. Oh boy. Don't know if she knew my handle or just found it, but we talked over the phone. She apologized, okay, and I apologized, and it was a pretty good talk. She asked if she could come over, and I said no, and that it would be best for us to go our separate ways. She got upset and asked why I wouldn't even try to work it out. I basically just said goodbye, and then she hung up. I'm pretty sad about it. She really made me feel happy, but as many of you have commented, if this was our first disagreement and she called me abusive, how would future disagreements look? Well, and she got her best friends involved and they were like texting you. I was hurt, but if she did think I was being abusive, it would be the right thing to do. And if she did not think I was being abusive and said it anyways, I would not want to be with her. So anyways, I think things worked out for the best for both of us. I really didn't think a breakup was gonna happen over wearing a white dress to a wedding. Truly, but. Hi, baby. Oh, we have a little guest. Hi. Yeah, you don't want to be in here. You hate when I film. She came in here, looked around, and was like, oh, you're filming? I'm out of here. And she walked right out. Next story, the green-eyed monster bride. Jealousy. Ooh. Ugh, a good bridezilla story. We love them, don't we? My best friend of 15 years, Marie, was my only bridesmaid for my simple outdoor wedding. My whole process was low-key. The bachelorette party was just 5 people with some MJ and desserts in a friend's hot tub. 2 years later, Marie got engaged. She was eager to get planning, so she picked her date and venue quickly after the proposal. She asked me to be her maid of honor and asked my husband to officiate. Shortly thereafter, I learned I was pregnant with my second child. My due date was 2 weeks after her wedding date, so I would be very round by then. My husband and I wanted our kids close together, but had not expected it to be so fast. Our first child was only 4 months old. I suffered, what's this? Hypermesis gravidarum? Clearly I've never been pregnant before. Hypermesis gravidarum, something, throughout my entire pregnancy, and had an infant to care for, but I could still do the usual maid of honor stuff except plan a boozy bar crawl bachelorette. I've never been a drinker and I would be so tired by then. Marie agreed to delegate the responsibility to another bridesmaid, and I was relieved. During the planning process, an odd resentment crept in. She made backhanded comments about the bad timing of my pregnancy and accusations that I was just being dramatic about my severe nausea, despite the fact that it was so bad I was losing weight in the middle of my pregnancy. And that's supposed to be your best friend? When we went dress shopping with the other bridesmaid, everyone commented about how it was a bummer that they could only choose from dress styles that were loose enough for a bump, and that my bump is all anyone would see as we stood for the ceremony. I suggested that I could get a maternity dress in the same color, and everyone else could just pick more bodycon dresses, but no one liked the idea. 2 weeks before the wedding, Marie decided that she wanted to have a pure romance party and asked to hold it at my house because I had more space. For the unaware, Pure Romance is an MLM company, multi-level marketing, that sells sex toys through goofy, high-pressure, in-home sales parties. I want no part of that. I said I would host, but I asked her to help me get the house ready because I was so tired. She grudgingly agreed, then mostly just watched me vacuum and move things around to fit more people in the main room. Then she wanted to go buy snacks for the party. The party was a last-minute idea that she had, but at the register, she expected me to pay for the food that she picked out. With another baby coming so soon, I told her I just didn't have the slack in my budget for that. She threw a little hissy fit, then pulled out a gift card from her bridal shower to pay for it. So we have the sex toy party and it's a terrible time for me. Most of the guests she invited were from her fiance's family. The sexual atmosphere plus future in-laws seemed odd to me. The Plumbing Chronicles. If you hear it, let's just ignore it together. I will try to talk loud. But they were pretty trashy to begin with. They were overly rowdy during the games. Okay. There were toy ring tosses, we will say, and busting balloons by thrusting with strap-ons, knocking things over, and making a mess. They also shamed me about not participating enough in the games. Look, I'm not a prude, but I need to be in the right company. And in that moment, I was just trying to smile and not throw up. As the party started to wind down, I excused myself for 15 minutes to pick up my baby from my grandma's. When I got back, everyone was gone, including Marie, and the house was a mess. She had also smoked a cigarette inside my house while I was out, knowing that the smell would make me sicker. It felt like a huge slap in the face. She didn't answer my calls for a couple of days. When I finally heard from her, she yelled at me for making her buy the food and for not being any fun at the party. I tried to calm her down, but she was on a roll. She admitted that she had been mad at me for my entire pregnancy because she felt like I timed it to upstage her, and that she had been jealous of me overall since I got married and had kids before her. I told her that it really hurt me that she would be jealous instead of happy for me, and that she would take those feelings out on me while I was vulnerable. She spluttered into excuses and tried to blame all of her behavior on the fact that her father, with whom she had a strained and distant relationship from, had passed about a year earlier. I snapped back and I said, well, it's not my fault your dad passed. While perhaps not tactful, it was factual. Grief doesn't excuse every petty action, especially when she had already admitted that jealousy was her motivation. She hung up on me after that, and I still hoped that she would cool down. Nope. Later that afternoon, I got threatening messages from her fiance and her sister telling me I was a horrible person for what I said, that my husband and I are kicked out of the wedding, and that we had better not show up or there would be a fight. Her fiance wrote the very memorable line, quote, "As an atheist, I for once wish there was a hell for you to burn in, you. See you next Tuesday." Her sister physically threatened me, something like, if you weren't so fat and pregnant, I'd be over there kicking your ass right now. I never spoke to her again after receiving those messages. All of this 9 days before the wedding, 2 weeks before my due date, an emotional storm of epic proportions. Next, I got calls from my mom, sister, sister-in-law, and several mutual friends that were more closely acquainted with me than the bride. She had called them all to say that I was uninvited, but that she hoped they would still attend. Okay. They all decided not to attend, but my sister-in-law was also scheduled to do her wedding manicure and kept the appointment because it was the professional thing to do. She said it was very awkward. I had my baby 4 days after her wedding. Even though she had been in the room when my first was born, she never even met my second, who is now a teen. She sent me a long, detailed apology 5 years later. I forgave her enough to respond to occasional text messages about specific nostalgic things that no one else would appreciate, like a recent mugshot of a guy she dated in her early 20s, who I always said was bad news. I don't mind hearing that I was right, but we'll never be close again. It really hit me how close you guys were, and then what happened when you said she was in the room when my firstborn was born and she never met my second. Like, she's family at that point to be in the room with you. And it went to that? That's crazy. They do say weddings can bring out the worst of people in friendships. Terrifying. Well, let me know your thoughts and feelings on these, you guys. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy.